just because you posted a black square on Instagram doesn't mean you can't be racist. Let's get into it. First episode of Diary of a Mad Black Scholar. My name is Ruby Worthy. I'm your host. My pronouns are she, they.
I am your co-host, Shiasia Beasley. My pronouns are they, them.
And I know you're wondering, like, why we're here. Like, what is the point of this podcast? Why are you listening to it? Why is it important? Is it important? That's a good question. But me and Shiasia are Black students. I don't know if you could tell by our names. But this podcast is basically just us complaining about being Black at a PWI. Yeah, that's about it. You want to talk about it? You want to?
I mean, I'm going to paint a prettier picture than you. We talked about this. Essentially, this podcast will be a window, not a door, into Black conversations and Black experience. Being on a PWI, there are a lot of spaces that claim they are free speech or we can feel comfortable, but at the same time, those spaces are just not safe for Black voices, even no matter how hard they try. So, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, but I just want to specify, like, we do have spaces for free speech, but sometimes you don't need to share the spaces. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, we don't.
I get what you're saying. Oh, listen, can it not be a free speech area that is secluded and not in my line of vision? No, because I'm sorry, but on occasion, I feel that a lot of free speech will meet the murky waters of hate speech.
Yes.
And no matter how many people, they have PR teams, I'm sure they do, they bring out the kindest, nicest people and they try to present that message. However, it doesn't stop I don't want to call it subtle, but it is the subtle hate speech that they're trying to push onto you.
It's, just subtle prejudice, subtle discrimination, just a little bit like, that kind of hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want to be mean because you're trying to be nice. And I'm not going to say you're brainwashed, but you're brainwashed. No, okay, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. But essentially, I feel like when those people come on, it's kind of like a cult.
Please.
They're trying to bring us in. They're trying to bring us in.
Yeah. I feel like the whole concept, and we've talked about this before, but like the whole concept of a free speech space is like, if you see a group of Black people gathered around at a PWI, somebody's going to walk up to you and be like, hey, what are you doing here? That's all I have to say on that. I mean, it's happened to us before. So yeah,
definitely. We were having such a good time, but something about that momentary interruption.
Yes.
Although it was probably with a pure heart. It just.
Oh yeah, but like also like there are plenty of groups of students gathered all over the place. I'm pretty sure that like the person
we could have been ignored that day and it would have been fine. We were just trying to be us,
Like, is that person really stopping and asking every single group of students that are gathered around in the public area on campus what they're doing?
Yeah, because it didn't feel
Yeah, and it didn't. And like, we knew that like we looked weird because remember the Black alumni walked up to us and was like, hey,
it's so great to see you guys.
Yeah.
This is great. And I was like,
so like we knew we looked weird. Like we knew that we looked like funny.
Yeah, we were very much an interruption in the white.
It was like 10 of us though. It was a lot of Black people though.
And it was like a whole bunch of us who didn't even like know each other, which felt great.
It wasn't like we didn't know each other. We like had like a connection in common, which is
like friend of a friend, but also like, oh, we Black.
Yeah, and you know, like everybody knew Demon, first of all.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who that is. So we were like, oh, yeah, I know that person. But yeah, the premise of like this podcast is to like you know, create a space for Black people and like other people of color to like talk. I mean, obviously we can't speak on the other experiences of people of color, because
definitely,
we don't like, that's not what we do. We don't do that. If we want to talk about other issues on campus with other people of color, then we will obviously make, you know, make it a thing to like have somebody on that has that experience. Definitely. To talk about it, because I refuse to speak on something that I don't know anything about.
That part, I don't want to seem ignorant, I'd say, because there's a lot of questions that I ask, Ruby can attest to it, that shouldn't be asked, you know?
Please.
No, I asked them with like absolute innocence, and I realized like, sadly, I have that in common with a lot of my white peers, but like, I wouldn't say mine is as bad as theirs.
Please.
But yeah, I would prefer to ask someone who has experience rather than either make my own assumptions or continue in ignorance. And if I'm proceeding in ignorance on any words, then I hope that someone will correct me, because I'm a constant learner.
Yeah, we're really like big on, you know, asking questions, but not like in the right way. Because we know how it feels to be asked stupid questions in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to like, I think about it for a second. To like further, I guess, solidify, like, I guess not a lot of people understand, because you don't really see a lot of Black people on campus. So you don't really understand what it's like to be Black at a PWI. Like, luckily, I was in an LLC, a living and learning community, that where like I had an avenue to meet other Black people and like have like a safe space to speak about the like dumb thing that somebody said about my hair in class. Like, I was lucky enough to have that, but not a lot of Black students do. And like, I do know a few Black people that have transferred because they didn't have that, like they didn't have a space to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, UNCA is kind of a tricky thing.
Yeah,
to, like, have Black spaces, because have spaces in general, because like when we create those spaces, we're forced to share them, because like inclusivity. And I'm not saying that I don't want to share the spaces, and I'm happy for anybody to like come and learn.
Yes,
but please. Some people just don't know when to not talk. Like
that part.
like it's hard to like make jokes and like talk about our experiences, and then like have somebody that doesn't know that experience think it's okay to like laugh, or like think it's okay to like joke about it too. And it's like, no, honey.
The way that we have to like schedule, low-key like schedule our lives in order to try to avoid that, like that taxing on ourselves. Like, we have to like have our time by ourselves just to be Black, and then we have to prepare ourselves to be Black and around white people.
I also want to say, last week, first week of classes, I'm letting you know right now, every day we had a new class, we were saying how many Black people were in that class. And I'm telling you, there are some classes where I'm the only Black person in that class.
Yes, I remember that. I was like, I'm not the only brown person in my class, but I am the only Black person.
And even then, there are very few brown people.
Yes.
Like, this campus is very white, very white. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just do want to point out, because I feel like me just saying that it's very white is not going to like get the point across.
If I had to word it, I would say, whenever I see someone who is of the same complexion as me, when I'm just briefly walking around a PWI, I see them as an oasis, just a nice fresh bit of air, because everything else seems picturesque and like everyone else is in a bubble that I can't exactly, get into. They have this level of comfort, and I guess it's not a lack of awareness, but like they don't feel threatened.
Yeah, like they don't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like I feel like I'm constantly having to like, I guess or just like, I don't know. It's a crazy thing on a PWI.
Bro. But like I just want to say that UNCA's campus is 71.9% white. Okay, cool. I just want to put that out there. Yes.
You looked up the numbers. Okay.
Yes. Look, we're smart. We're scholarly.
It's in the name.
But yeah, like that's how many. I mean, there are 5.4% Black people on campus. It's not a lot of Black people. It's not a lot at all.
Let's not get started on the indigenous population.
Oh my God.
Oof.
Yes. Like also like these are numbers that I pulled to like as comparison, but I'm letting you know right now, there are like other groups of minorities. Like the number is so little. Mm-hmm. It's so little. Like I do not understand how y'all are out here living y'all's lives. Y'all are built different. I don't know how y'all do it.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. That one time I came back on campus, the Asia event, that was nice. Yeah. I did not know like that they were gonna pop off like that. Like I was really intrigued about one. They showed culture, clothing, and they also showed it with fun. It wasn't like I'm gonna educate you. And then you notice I'm not gonna lie, the party crashers. In my opinion, they were just students who came for the food.
Oh my God, I forgot that they only came for the food. That was so.
They took the cultural food. I wasn't I wanted to taste it.
God. I wanted to have an experience. I forgot about that. Like the fact that there was literally nobody there. The food came out and people just came out of nowhere and took food and left.
The amount of students who kept on taking plates, and the people who were taking care of the plates were like, "We're not handing it out yet."
Yes.
Like, you guys, you can at least pretend.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Let us get into some of the stuff that we actually were supposed to talk about today.
Yes. Okay.
Here's what I'm gonna say on this, and I've said this so many times, it's gonna sound like I'm reading off of a script. The level of complacency on this campus astounds me, and I'm so serious. There have been times where I talk to like white friends, and they're like, "Oh, I'm like I came from some weird county in the middle of nowhere, and they were saying the N-word with the hard R and waving Confederate flags, and I'm so glad that I live in Asheville right now because I don't have to deal with that." And I'm looking at them like, we're still in North Carolina, honey.
That part.
Like, I don't know, like stuff like that. It like it's crazy, and you wouldn't think that. Like you really like look like from the outside looking in, you think that UNCA is like such a progressive college. And I'm not saying that like it's not progressive, but I think that like when you paint a Black Lives Matter mural on the road and you put up a bunch of flags and stuff, it kind of like makes people feel like not the people that are actually threatened. It makes like white people and like people that don't have like a direct connection to like their lives being threatened, like they feel like, oh, I'm safe from having to look at that. But like we still have to deal with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Like
yeah, definitely. I hear what you're saying.
It's just like having those conversations and being like, honey, what do you mean?
I think that we're just, for me, I don't have that that level of or I don't have that experience simply because I'm kind of to myself anyway. But what I can say is based off the thing we did as part of our LLC, Living Learning Community, we went to do a Hood Huggers tour.
Yes.
And that really, one, it helps me actually feel like Asheville was like my town, but it also made me like feel connected and knowledgeable about the truth of the
The
Asheville that
history of
people are
Asheville.
so excited about. Like you said, people are so excited to come here, but then they completely forget about, one, the obvious gentrification they pass on the streets on the way to
Yes.
UNC Asheville, and then also they don't know anything about the harsh history of the Black community here. And also, a lot of white people who I've met say that they came here due to, LGBTQ plus,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Just for this to not be a very accepting place for that either. I've had multiple students like attest to it. They don't think this is a very safe place for that, which I think is crazy. If you look at a brochure to Asheville, you wouldn't expect that because I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of looking hippie townish, very tourist, very, we're having a family trip. I understand that, but also people live here, so there's obviously something deeper than a waterfall that looks pretty, some kind of manor that you don't. I don't even know if they tell you the history about that manor. The
I don't
Biltmore.
know anything about it.
I don't know anything about it, but I know
I
there's.
don't. I don't want to go there. Like people keep talking about it, and I'm like, I feel like they had slaves, and I don't know
If
if it's
there's
true.
manor
I
in the
don't know if
name,
it's
I
true.
instantly am like
Yeah,
turned off from it.
I don't know if it's true. I don't know anything about it. I just want to say that's just old things. I don't mess with them.
Yeah,
Like I
I
just
just feel
don't.
like something about my ancestors. They just touch my shoulder and be like, "Don't do it, baby," and I'll be like, "Okay." Anywho, should we go on to the next
Yes.
topic?
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to talk about like this is like a last year thing for me because like the summer of what was it? The summer was it 2020? The summer of 2020 was a wild time.
What
It was a
happened?
wild ride. Um, I feel like because the like Black Lives Matter really like skyrocketed, and white people were like, "Oh, I understand this," which was like, I was fighting for my life in 7th grade about Black Lives Matter.
Is that around the same
What
time
do
as
you
like
mean?
George Floyd and stuff? Is what you
Yes,
mean? Okay,
yes,
yeah.
yes. And like, I look, I commend all of the non-Black people and the white people for understanding finally, because I know y'all had y'all's Black classmates fighting for their lives in 7th grade. I
That
know y'all
part.
did, because I promise you, I was fighting for my life trying to defend Mike Brown, bruh. Like, I'm telling you, like this is seventh grade me not knowing like about anything, like nothing, like sociology, nothing about it. But I
Mm-hmm.
knew for a fact that he did not deserve to die. Okay,
That part.
so I I don't know,
A pause
like
real quick. It's crazy how we all consciously have like this very deep understanding at a young age that, and then other people have to go to school for it. Like
yes,
it's essentially like in our DNA,
yes,
and then they
yes,
have to be taught it. And I think that's crazy. But go ahead about your
but
part. Didn't deserve to
like
die.
yes, and after George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, even though y'all, anyways, it's a whole other thing about
Mm.
that. But I understand that. I guess now it's a real thing to y'all. Like racism is a real thing, and police brutality is also like a real thing. Um, but like, what are you doing to like alleviate it? Like, I don't want to have a conversation with you about race.
I don't.
like, like I feel like in the summer of 2020, it was like, oh, we need to be aware of racism and like racism and systemic racism and
Mm-hmm.
everything else that we've known about since we were how old? Like
That part.
we've been knew about this. Like our parents were literally like, when you go in this classroom, don't act like Timmy, because Timmy won't get in trouble. You will.
That
And
part.
that was yeah, like that was it for us. Like we understood that. And so like it was exhausting in the summer of 2020 of people being like, "Oh, racism is real." Me being like, "You call me the
No.
N-word with the hard R, like in like 9th grade. What are you talking about?"
You guys sing songs with the N-word in it. I mean, do you think that we just made up the word and wanted to start singing it? I mean,
bruh, like
an origin.
I don't know. And that might just be me, but like it was exhausting to like see white people like
no, it was, I'm sure it was exhausting for
it.
the whole community, because the thing about it is, like you said, they'll come to you and try to have a conversation and be like, oh, so this is what you experienced, or what does this mean? And it's just like, I don't think you understand how it hurts for me to like I've already like pre-thought about this whole conversation you're having with me. The fact that you're asking me these questions mean that you have never before in your life until this very moment. You're maybe what 20 and maybe 30 something. I've had most like adults in my classes before. You're 20, 30. And you're telling me right now that you have never once thought about the suffering of Black people on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. You've never deeply thought or been compassionate about the history that you were obviously taught. I'm sure every American is taught the same history. I just feel like you didn't care at some point, and you just needed another thing to know about, so you could be more, so you can be more white in more spaces.
I don't know. I just feel like it's crazy to me because like. Like, again, I'm glad that you now understand what, like, you understand that, like, something, like, the world is not, you know, the world is trash, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad that you understand that, like, Black people have been going through it for a hot minute. That's fine. But don't ask me if I've seen 13th.
That's right. And don't expect me to watch it. I'm not going to watch Roots. I'm sorry. I'm not going to watch 13. I don't want to watch Atlanta. I'm sorry. I choose to avoid that stuff. I don't want that on my mind.
I feel like right now, I feel like we're in like the point, like this era where like, oh, have you like watched this? And oh my gosh, systemic racism is so real, and like the prison industrial complex, and oh my god, colorism, and the thing about it, like all of this stuff. Netflix. And I'm like, honey, let's talk about Steven Universe.
That part, because the thing about it is Netflix has like that whole docu-series document section, and then it's just like, oh, you're gonna learn about Black stuff today, and that's the only way people are like, oh, I should watch this, because, you know, there are plenty of people out there who just enjoy watching documentaries. They like learning about stuff. But the fact that, like, that's how it has to be given, like, that information has to be given to them. It has to be presented in an interesting way rather than, like, okay, it's a hard pill to swallow. You need to take time out of your day to actually try and research this. Don't get a secondary source that was meant for, to some degree, entertainment. It's not hitting for me. Don't make it pop culture. Don't make it pop culture to learn about my life.
That's truly what it's become. Like, Black Lives Matter has become like a part of pop culture. And that is like, it's so annoying. Like, it's just like, it's become like a buzzword. BLM is like a buzzword.
And this brings us into the topic of performative activism, my favorite.
Ooh!
I am... Okay, so essentially what I'm worried about is, like you said, summer 2020. People were doing the thing for Floyd. I get it. It was amazing. A whole lot of people were putting their work in. And then it was the black squares.
Okay, wait. Run it back. First of all, here's my thing about the protests. Yes, the white folk were out there doing what they had to do.
Yeah.
What are you doing now?
That part, because I don't know if they knew, but social media, like acts of social media activism aren't doing very much of anything.
No, I don't. I honestly do not care. Like, you can post whatever you like, and this is strictly like white people. Like, Black people do not. We don't have to do anything. I'm sorry.
We don't. But at the same time, a lot of Black people, they do post a lot of stuff that's helpful. And I mean, I get it. Yes. You want our white peers to understand or something like that. Like, I get that. But when white people are like, oh, I have to be a part of this. Like I said, the black square thing, you are actively blotting out those little PDF things and that information that Black people have been putting up for months.
Wait, hold up. We have to, because some people might not know what the black square was on June 2nd, 2020. Okay. I don't know exactly what happened, and I feel like this was like a national phenomenon. I don't know how it happened like this, but people were like, "Ooh, post a black square with the hashtag." Was it the hashtag Black Lives Matter?
It's hashtag Blackout Tuesday.
Blackout Tuesday. It was hashtag Blackout Tuesday, but there had already been like, it was just like people were also hashtagging like other popular hashtags with that hashtag, and so when you scrolled through like the hashtags that like had Black Lives Matter and people were posting like educational stuff or just like stuff about like just like injustices and stuff, you would just see black squares.
Yes.
And it was counterintuitive, but also at the same time, like, what is that black square gonna do? Like, what is social media going to do? I think we need to realize that social media is not real.
It isn't.
Like,
and just to address what she said, the hashtag spamming, you know, like you said, BLM, stuff like that, it's essentially just like muting the real meaning. And also, I feel like, you know, whenever you go on social media, people will make a post and they'll choose every single popular hashtag to put up there. And then like whatever they're posting has nothing to do with what that hashtag is for specifically. And I think that that's really important because once again, that puts the cause and the movements into the obscurity of pop culture and the norm, which I think is it's just not a good setup. It's not well thought through. They need to do better.
Yeah, I just think that like social media is crazy, but like
it's not great.
Just, like, I feel like a lot of the times, and this is just like our generation in general, that like we think that social media is real. Like we think that just because we show solidarity on social media, the real world is going to change.
Yeah.
And much. That's just like on all of us. That's just on all of us.
That's why I don't post anything up there. Like I see my friends posting stuff and then I have that secondary thought like, oh, what if I don't repost this, or what if I don't post stuff like this? Does that mean that show to them that I'm not actively thinking about this or something? But like I am, and what I put on social media is up to me. I feel like social media is not meant to be that in depth. Like I get to choose what I want to share. And it just so happens that I want to be human on social media. I don't want to, I want to be me. I don't want to have to keep on thinking like, oh, what's the newest problem? Oh, let me post about it. Because at that point, what is it doing other than letting my mutuals, because that's who I allow to see my feed, know that this is what's on my mind at the moment. And if I want to talk to them about it, then I will literally reach out and talk to them about it. So that's why like the use of social media for me, it's very obscure. I don't really know how to use it that well right now, but I just know for a fact I don't post anything like a BLM or something like that. I don't post all that.
But like you don't have to. Like I feel like that's also like what we need to get at here is that like you don't have to post about it. You don't. like obviously, and I'm like that's also like there's also like a gray area of like what is being circulated, you know? So like if you see something that's like educational and you want to repost that, that's fine. But are you learning from what you're posting? Like do you genuinely believe that like what you're posting is like right? And are you educating yourself? And are you like doing the daily things that you need to do to like be anti-racist?
That part. Because the thing about it is you can briefly read it and then after that you'll forget about it. But do you try to like go outside of that post and look into it further? Because I'm not going to lie, when I see it, I'm just like, okay, I'll post it for white people who follow me. Hopefully they'll. Because me, I already know majority of what's being posted in those info things that they have on Instagram and stuff. I learned the occasional new thing, but at the same time, it's again information that I can pass on to my white peers, because in no way me acting on it will really change much of anything, because I'm not gonna lie, our voices are being silenced on social media. And a lot of the time what we do is when we have these movements, we go to social media because we know that's where everyone is. Because like we said, they think social media is real life. Everyone's always on their phone scrolling through Instagram, TikTok. So we have to go on those platforms to do it. So when, like we said, people go up there and they're like, okay, we're going to show that we care about this movement, like you're kind of putting that movement on pause, because the people who know what they're doing and know how to traverse this situation, the platform, and how to reach out and connect with people they need to, it's being blotted out. You're not doing anything. Like, just talk to your peers, talk in real life, bring our problems back into the real life, because they are real life problems, not just quick little things you can think about for a second and then forget about. Like, you need to be invested.
And like social media, you know, that's just how we connect. That's how we communicate. So like, I understand like having to post stuff, but it's also like social media, like, what is it at the end of the day? Like, you post your little infographic on your Instagram story, not on your feed, on your Instagram story, and then you close your phone and then you go to class. But what are you doing? Like, or what are you doing to like actively like be anti-racist? Like, and like the social media aspect is like not like, it's not even half of like when we talk about performative activism, because I'm talking about like the Black Lives Matter sticker on your water bottle, or like on your computer, or like you saying, ooh, Black Lives Matter, or like the Black Lives Matter in your bio. Like, what is like,
here's what I have to say about that.
What does that have to do with anything?
I view the creation of merch for movements like these, I kind of see them as like a gray area, simply because there's the people who actually care, and then there's the people who essentially do the jean jacket method, is what I call it. Because, you know, people will get a jean jacket and they'll put pins on it, and that's how they find their people. You know, I've seen it in the LGBTQ community all the time. You know, they got the little flag pins and stuff like that. And that's how you know where your people are, you know. And I understand that's kind of easy to do, especially if you're like on a college campus, because then like you briefly see it, you see, oh, there are people who are thinking like me, who care like me. But at the same time, you have to understand, by actively purchasing these items, there's also a con to it.
Okay, wait, but also at the same time,
are you buying it from the right
place? No, stop, no, that for that part. But also, if you see, it's come to the point now where if you see a white person with a Black Lives Matter pin, you still don't know if they're racist or not.
You don't.
Because I'm sorry. It's become expected of everyone. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Yes, perfectly fine. But there are some people that still don't understand that we have all of us have been raised to hold certain prejudices and like feel a certain way about certain people, and even ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, Black people have been raised to feel a certain way about ourselves.
That part.
So like so like if I can understand that, I need you to also understand that, like, when you see somebody with locks, do you call them dreadlocks?
Or do you call them locks?
Yes. Or like, and like, that's important. Or like when you see a Black person on campus, do you automatically assume that they're an athlete? Like, these are important things. Or like, do you like it's just like, do you speak on certain issues that you shouldn't be speaking on? Like, do you think hair is just hair? Like,
do you not see color?
Do you not see color? And like, so like that kind of stuff is like, there are so many people that the bar is so low.
It's so
the bar
low.
is so low. And it's like, we have set the bar to be that low.
That the bar is low. I get what you're trying to say.
But like, we have made the bar so low because we were in middle school and high school fighting for our lives just to get our peers to say that Black Lives mattered.
Yes.
And now that they're saying that, you get a pat on the back. But
I feel like they shouldn't get a pat on the back. I feel like
yeah, but like, what I'm saying is that, like, they did get that pat on the back. Like
and they get it from their peers. They get it from their white peers as well. They're like, oh, you're part of this group now too.
Like,
yeah.
But also, like, you can't deny the fact that when you see white people finally being like Black Lives Matter, you didn't you felt relief. Because like at the end of the day, we weren't.
I had expectations.
But like
and they weren't met.
We weren't at in the heat of the moment of summer 2020. We weren't pressed about the after effects.
We weren't.
We weren't pressed about everything else, because at the time what we really needed was for white people to understand that we matter.
Mm-hmm.
And then later we're having these conversations with white people that we think are our allies, and they have Black Lives Matter pins, and they have Black Lives Matter in their bios,
mm-hmm.
and they retweet stuff, but then they say something racist, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Whoa.
And then I guess it's expected for us to call them out, but like if you actually cared, you would have probably tried to look into your habits and try to learn what you do that could be racist, that is ingrained in racism and prejudice, and then you could try to better yourself as a person rather than being like, oh, I learned something new today, and that's it.
Yes, like I feel like, and like that's just, I mean, then again, it's not on us, but also it's not on us, but also like now is like the time. Like I feel like last year was an interesting time, and you weren't on campus, so but you heard about it, but like
I heard a little bit.
Last year was crazy. Like this is after George Floyd. And the election, the election was happening. Yo,
it was a stressful time. It still is.
No, I just want to say, it was so wild to me to be sitting in these diversity trainings and white people being like, it's just so exhausting. I'm just so emotionally exhausted, and I'm like.
And that's the thing about
no, but the thing about it is that it's crazy because literally that same year I had a cousin who was killed by the police. And I'm sitting here and they're like George Floyd, and I'm like,
just yeah, he was one of them. He was one of them.
This isn't a game. I
don't think they understand that we look in the news pretty much all the time and see that at least 40 Black people have died.
No, literally, I'm going to say right now, when I saw the video, and I did not watch the entire video, but when I saw George Floyd trending, because I don't do that. That's no. Why would I ever watch
your mental health?
Yeah,
and it just makes me angry to be angry.
Yeah, when I watched the video and when I saw the hashtag, I literally thought, okay, they did it again. They're not going to do anything about it.
I definitely didn't expect anything from it.
Yeah, I did not expect anyone outside of the mutuals that I had on Twitter to care about it.
Yeah. Mind you, they still did him dirty in the process. They showed him in a mugshot and etc. So it wasn't like a pure moment. It was all still contaminated with the usual things we have to see. But a white man can murder his wife and children and still.
Yo, we don't get it. Yo,
I'm just being honest.
Didn't that just happen? Didn't it?
It was a white man. He killed 2 toddlers and his wife, I believe.
Yeah, and they showed a picture of and
it was a family picture and they were smiling.
Yes.
Where's his mugshot? The lady who recently, I think she used her car to run over two Black children. She got a mugshot, but she was smiling in it.
I just
so it didn't feel good to see her mugshot.
Yeah, that's a whole other.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's just crazy.
And all of that just really, I don't know. All of that stuff is stuff we've been talking about for ever. This is this isn't new to us. So to be on campus and to be on campus.
I really realized
to, like
how I was when I got on this campus.
It's like, and it's just like, it's emotionally exhausting. It truly is. Like, it's truly exhausting to have to sit there, and especially like in a class, like if you're in like a sociology class or something, or like any class that like talks about like the world issues, and like it's just like your mainly white class talking about this, or like having to do like diversity intensive trainings at work. And like it's just like, and like people are like, oh, like, you know, don't be racist, and I'm like, but do you understand like the depth of like racism? And I feel like that's also just something that like, that's like what I'm trying to get at with like the whole like performative activist thing, and like white peers being complacent. Like anti-racism isn't something where like where you're like, oh, racism is real, and then keep pushing.
Yeah.
Like you need to like really, you need to genuinely reevaluate your entire thought process. Like it's like anti-racism is like an everyday thing. Like you need to really like sit there and like think about how you think, and like how you think about people and like the world, and like evaluate if that is rooted in racism or not. And like I'm doing that today. like that's still a problem that I have. Like I still have to be like,
I could do better with it, if I have to be honest. But like there's the whole thing about like, I just want to be. I'm so tired of having to be Black in a space. I just want to be like, I want to go to school and be an artist. That's what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to see the world burning in front of you, and then it's your community who's also suffering and all that, and then you're like, oh, I should probably just forget about art because pretty soon the earth is going to be on fire, or I should forget about the fact that I want to do art because my community they need to be fed. They need homes, you know? Like it's so hard for you to forget about that aspect of yourself, and then also fight for yourself to want to like pursue things that you're passionate about.
It's also just like, I feel like our entire like generation is like, not all of us, but like, you know, most of us, I guess. I don't really know. But like, I'm gonna just say on campus. And even then that's still like a little depending on the person. But like we expect, there's a general expectation of speaking about certain issues, or like being an activist. And like I feel like right now, there has been like the realization that like Black people don't have to be doing this.
We don't, and it feels
like, it was
euphoric when I found out about that.
Well, yeah, no, and I'm talking about like Black people taught like with Black issues, like like if there's like another community and like there's like some problems, obviously like if you benefit from the system that is actively like harming another group of people, then obviously like you should feel, you know, like that you need to do something to like help in some way. But like
somebody,
yeah, but like I feel like we've all been like, ooh, everyone's been like, ooh, activism, whatever. And I feel like now we're like, wait a minute, why am I in the streets?
That part.
Like, why do I need to be in the streets? Because I didn't do this to myself, so why am I fixing it?
That part. The thing about it for me is I think about it like this. You know how everyone has like a little picture book of their childhood and stuff? We had that too, but it was like, you know, the basics, like, oh, you're a baby, you started crawling, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, we had our school experience. But I feel like white people or our white peers, they actually got to want to be a firefighter. They got to want to be a doctor. You know, they got to be otherwise free. We were instantly given the shackles.
Yo, and okay, speaking of free, can we talk about the fact that I don't know if it's just me when I was in elementary school saying that pledge, I knew I was not free.
I knew I wasn't free either. It got to the point where midway through my education, I stopped saying it. I stopped saying it.
There was something that felt wrong in my heart.
And every cell in my body.
And I'm just saying that as like a way to be like, Black kids cannot be kids.
We're not allowed
at some point we're done being kids. And I'm talking when you go to elementary school, you're not a kid anymore.
That part. And the thing about it is like that moment when you find out that you're Black, I know that every single Black person who listens to this will understand what I mean. Because I was into art, and then when I got in school, I realized that there was a difference. My parents and my grandparents, they started to show me there was a difference. Yes. For most of my childhood, I was like, oh.
Yes, but there's also like that talk. There's the few talks that you get when you're Black, and one of the talks is not even about like the whole like racism is real thing. This talk is like you're not even like addressing racism. The talk is when you go to school, you need to act right.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time you're like, I'm a kid. What do you mean? And then it's like, oh, well, so-and-so did it too. But you see that you're in the office, don't you? Don't do that. Like, you need to, like, literally my dad, before I went to school, he would be like, you need to do what you're supposed to be doing and not what everybody else is doing. And at the time, I'd be like, whatever. But now I'm like, I was still doing what I was supposed to be doing, and I was consistently singled out. Mm-hmm. Consistently. Like,
but you spoke out, didn't you? You would speak out. You're your father's daughter. I know you did.
I am. Yeah.
And I am so envious because I was the teacher's pet. But deep down, I wanted to scream 24/7. I wanted to be heard. Yeah, but I was silent, and I was an artist, and I was also told I can't draw. And there's a time and a place. Oh, yeah, I hate when people would tell me that.
See, that's just like
at this point, tearing up, like I'm still hurting about this. Like this, I don't think people understand how real and current this stuff is, and the fact that it's a problem. It's hurting people right now as you are like watching your TV show and hanging out with the boys, you know, like. Come on.
But also like the trauma, and this might just be. I feel like it's a lot of Black people. The trauma of like going through school. Like it's like me now realizing, oh my God, like mm-hmm. it's traumatizing. Like the fact that like somebody could say something to me and I would automatically be like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm done talking to you. And the reason why is because like a teacher in like 4th grade said the same thing to me.
That part.
Yeah, like it's like. And that's just like the state like that, and that truly shows like the state of like the public, not even like the public school system, the school system in general.
I'm actually very obsessed with the school system. Like, you remember I tried to change my major to education because I was like, something about that time in my life, it was just all wrong. It could have been done completely different. I recently found out the education system that we have right now is actually just a hypothesis someone came up with, and they're still trying stuff out. I was appalled. I was like, that was my life that you guys played with.
We got to get Dr. Ruffin up here.
We do. Dr. Ruffin would love to be here. We love Dr. Ruffin.
We love you. Oh my God. Oh, and I guess to like, since we've derailed a little bit,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Bring it back. Since we're bringing up Dr. Ruffin, I just want to say, to like, I guess close this out a little bit. To like end this whole performative activism talk, is Dr. Ruffin told me one time that she does not like to use the word advocate or ally. She says co-conspirator, because co-conspirator has more action to it. You're actively doing something. You're co-conspiring with me to change the system.
That part.
When you're an ally or an advocate, what are you doing?
That part.
Like those words have lost their meaning over the last year, honestly.
I feel like it's now, like after I feel like they stopped having meaning once I found out that they made the Martin Luther King photos black and white so they feel old.
Please, we're not gonna use that right now. No, but like what I'm saying is that like the word ally within the last year has lost its meaning because people say, I'm an ally and then not do anything.
It's like a patch.
Bernie
it's
Sanders
like a give me
was
a cookie
real
patch.
Ally. Bernie Sanders was a real ally. He was out here in the street.
Yes.
Like that's what I'm talking about. like that, like the meaning of ally then versus like the meaning of ally now has changed. Ally is like a social media word. Like it's a buzzword. Like
yes.
It's just like it's like a word that you bring up in like political conversations, like when you're just like talking with your friends, you know. But like a co-conspirator is like someone who is conspiring with you.
It sounds so good. And I remember her saying that when I was in her class. I love that. I
feel like we got to get her up here.
Yes. For any students who are listening, and if the class is still available, I suggest you do I'm not sure what the name is. I feel bad.
Don't speak on it. Don't say
it. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna ask Professor Ruffin, but it's so good. It's about like the miseducation of Black students and how like, you know, it's great. I think anyone should do it, and it also includes community service, which I love. Still talk to my community service people.
Yes, but basically, like, I guess this whole talk was us screaming into the void. The void about.
Ooh, I'm making fan art.
Please. It's screaming into the void about like how exhausting it is.
All the time.
To be Black on campus. And like this is just like literally like us talking about performative activism, even though I feel like we didn't talk about it that much. We get sidetracked a lot, but
because there's so many little branches.
Because there's so many other things to talk about when you talk about this kind of stuff, and like this is the point of the podcast.
Yes,
like you can't just hold a talk, like you can't just hold like a workshop and then talk about it once.
Yeah.
Like this needs to be talked about in depth by Black people. Like Black people need to be talking about this. And and Black people need to be talking about it and not fear the interruption of white people.
That part.
And like we need to be able to talk about it without like fearing like the invalidation or like just being gaslit, like about like, well, I didn't mean it like this. Or all I said was this, you know? Like this was just like basically this entire episode was just us finally being able to talk about this stuff and actually have people hear us.
Yeah.
And
want to hear us because we know y'all clicked on this.
Please. So like, yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, do you have anything you want to say? Any last words?
Any last words? I don't think so. I mean, there's other episodes. We gonna talk. They ain't gonna have no choice.
I just want to say this. Hey, yo, Black freshmen, don't be afraid to speak to other Black people on campus.
Oh, that part.
Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to find Black professors. Because they could literally not even be close to your major. They will have your back.
Okay, so you're talking about the support. Okay, I'll talk about something else. I'll add on to that. Don't be afraid to talk to anybody on this campus. Even if you're nervous and you're scared, I low-key taught this to Ruby because me and Ruby were walking around campus freshmen and we were talking to anyone and I did it with my whole chest because I'm not going to sit there and let them push me into some kind of corner. You need to make your space because they're not going to make it for you.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I'm telling you. But like I know how lonely it could be.
I mean, unless you join the LLC.
Please. But like I know how lonely it could be to like not be around people who like have the same experience the same experiences as you. And like do not be afraid to like say hi to the Black person, the only other Black person in your class. Or like don't be afraid to be like, "Hey girl, I love your hair. Who did it?"
Yes.
Like or like truly just like be like I promise you, if you saw that Black person, they saw you.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, and that's all I got to say on that.
Don't act like you don't know nobody.
Stop. All right, y'all. Thank you for listening to page 1 of Diary of a Mad Black Scholar. I appreciate y'all taking your time out of your day to listen to us rant about literally anything. Shout out to Evo for the awesome music. And remember, y'all, don't be racist. Y'all have a nice night. Peace.